Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret Raccoon podcast, episode 112. I am the Angry Raccoon, your only host for this podcast, and I'll be bringing you the first podcast of April. And boy, it's kind of crazy to think we're already at April, given how little has actually happened in 2019. But hopefully things will get slightly more interesting and less frustrating in terms of actual world news, and that's pretty much all I'm going to reference in terms of politics and other major issues happening in the world. But yeah, pretty interesting podcast I have for you, given the things we're going to talk about, especially my opinions on things, because I have a feeling some people are going to be pretty annoyed given what I'm about to say. But anyway, let's get straight into things, and the first thing I want to talk about is the only major thing I watched over the fortnight in which we did the last podcast, and that is I finally watched the BBC comedy series Fleabag, just season 1, and Fleabag is a very interesting series because although I guess you can kind of label it as a feminist comedy, it does kind of come from a more heightened perspective of the female life, the female trouble. It is a very satirical and very comedic, given how we are following a character who is literally named Fleabag, who is a character who borderlines on being very weird, possibly having some mental issues perhaps. I don't know if it's confirmed. I don't know if it's just that she's just weird and doesn't know it, or is weird. She considers herself to be a bit of a good kind of example of how this character refers to herself is she does say that she isn't obsessed with sex, but she's always thinking about it, which says a lot. Now, this series essentially follows the character Fleabag dealing with, I guess, women matters, to put it politely, her kind of fractured family and situation regarding relationships, and essentially herself, and how herself is kind of put her in this position and kind of creating kind of very interesting situations, which I don't really want to spoil for the most part. But this is a pretty damn funny and well done show, mainly because one of the more, I guess, highlighted aspects of the series is the fourth wall breaking in the series, where the character will literally kind of almost monologue and in a mind kind of literally turn to the camera in between, discussions with other characters, or just generally going about her life and kind of talk to the audience, which is very interesting. It's obviously been done before in other TV shows and movies, but what makes this series a bit more interesting is that we're following like I said, a very weird and odd character, to have her basically fill us in what's going on in the world, and to kind of give us, she's able to, or the way the series is written, they're kind of able to tell us a lot about a character that's not even been seen, just through her saying like a few words, basically. And those comments may be a bit extreme, but we kind of get the picture for the most part. And I do like that. Another added bonus to kind of go with her character in the fourth wall breaking is a lot of the time she gives the audience or the camera very knowing looks, almost as if to say like, did you see that, or can you believe that, or get a load of this. So it's kind of interesting because there's kind of a bit of a, I don't know what you call it, like a double fourth wall break, where you kind of can't tell whether she's just looking at us in order to go, in order to kind of gauge a reaction or to prove a point, or it's just her being weird in the sense of that she's looking around. But it's a really interesting series. It's quite explicit. It does follow like relationships, like I said, quite in a quite adult way. So probably wait a while to watch this one. But it's a really interesting series. I would recommend it. I don't really want to spoil too much. The character herself is very interesting. I mean, she's the kind of person who, when her at the time current boyfriend decides he's going to surprise her, with, I won't say why because it's a spoiler. To surprise her, she somehow manages to beat him home, sees him showering, and sees that he's laid out a table, ready for said surprise, dinner, that kind of thing. So she decides to grab a shirt, rip a hole in it, grab a knife, put that shirt over her face, and scare him while he's in the shower holding a knife. So she's that kind of person. So understandably, her boyfriend does get a bit frightened, to say the least. But I would honestly recommend it. Oh, the one thing I should mention to get everyone to watch it. The award-winning Olivia Colman is in this series, playing the quote-unquote villain of the series, a character simply referred to as Godmother. And much like the whole cast, she does a fantastic job as her character. So please watch this series. I just watched season 1, so I don't know what's going to happen in season 2, but I'll watch it before the next podcast rolls. Let's talk about what happened during the fortnight, and I guess the major thing to talk about would be that Article 13 and Article 11 have been passed by the European Council or body in government, whatever the hell they're referred to. I really don't, given what's happening in the world, I really don't know how to refer to Europe at the moment. But this is more of an acknowledgement regarding the situation. I'm going to leave a link given kind of explaining what exactly, Article 11 and 13 are and kind of what could happen. But the problem is we really don't know exactly what's going to happen to the internet in terms of copyright laws. I mean, the process is going to take 2 years. And it's going to affect 27, maybe 28, depending on what happens to England and leaving the Europe. We don't know what's going to happen. And even now, Article 13 and I think maybe Article 11 are now referred to as Article 17. So I guess we'll be referring to them as Article 17 for the next 2 years. So basically nothing's really clear at the moment. And I guess that's what people are kind of worried about, because most people have labelled these articles as, kind of banning freedom of speech, banning memes in a more comedic sense, which it could very well be this way. We could be looking at a win-win situation or a lose-lose situation. But at the moment, the way I see it, as of everything we understand right now, it seems to be more of a win-lose situation. Because on one hand, it's going to be great that there's going to be a little bit more policing in terms of actual copyright laws. So, for example, content creators, let's say artists, they'll have a lot more protection over people just grabbing their art, and just using it for whatever reason. That's going to be nice to have that kind of protection, to know that your work's not just going to be, immediately stolen and abused, because that is a real issue, especially with memes, for example. There have been a lot of cases of, people on YouTube and Facebook and other places just taking people's created content, memes, and just kind of posting them elsewhere, claiming it's theirs. It happens all the time. Just as an experiment, just type in meme compilation on YouTube and count how many times you see the same exact edited meme appear. You'll be surprised how many times it does appear, and you will most likely never find the original source. It's a bit of a shame, but that would be good. But and as well, to kind of go back to YouTube, it'd be nice that hopefully something will be done about YouTube's mismanagement and misunderstanding of copyright, because the way they go about copyright is baffling, honestly. It really is baffling. But on the other hand, we could be losing a lot of basic freedoms, such as, simply sharing media and remixing media, aka going back to memes as an example. Not to mention the simple expression of opinions could be, in danger, as well as just word of mouth could essentially be lost, given how they might decide to run the internet, or how they might decide that things are going to go in terms of sharing media. There are good things that could come of this law, but I just really don't trust these bigger media industries, because, I'm really against them, because they're the ones who could be up to no good. The European Union, they might honestly have, people's intentions in mind. It's these big companies who I think are just, so ready to just destroy YouTube and just put the internet in such a weird, kind of awkward place. They would want nothing more than to heavily monitor and censor the internet, where everyone just shuts up and buys their product. You can kind of tell, especially with the music industry, they really don't like the fact that people review their music. They obviously don't like the fact that people upload the music or do covers, which is very bizarre. And for the music industry to finally get rid of any other means of you listening to their products via the only three options, let's just say buying it physically, Spotify, Apple Music, because they're going to get the majority of the profit. It's a bit of a shame, and I really don't know what's going to happen, and it is kind of scary, because we're going to have this unfortunate possible segregation where there's going to be like a no-go zone in terms of like Europe and the rest of the world, where we're not getting anything out of Europe, and maybe Europe's not getting anything from other countries. It's all weird. It's kind of dystopian. I'm pretty sure some science fiction writer has probably written a book about this. But yeah, it's crazy to honestly think about what could happen, and I think we need to use the word could, because we really don't know right now. The way the government goes about passing laws and changing things is nebulous and weird, so we don't know. We just have to wait, unfortunately, and it's not going to be a great wait. But yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to talk about. Let's move on to our major topics, and we got an exciting trailer. Very exciting trailer, because for the first time in a good few years, we're going to be talking about a video game, and that's a video game I'm pretty excited about, and that is Borderlands 3, and it getting its official reveal trailer, which was kind of teased at for a while. Borderlands 3 has been kind of floating around for the most part, but it's so good to have the original and best loot-based first-person shooter back. I mean, Borderlands 1 and 2 are probably one of my more favorite game series in recent years, so it's really happy to kind of have it, back in a great sense. And I guess I want to talk about this briefly. I mean, if you're not so much into gaming, I would at least give this trailer a try. Link will be in the description, and the download link. But I'll kind of explain things for the most part, because I'm assuming not everyone is that caring about video games for the most part. But I mean, the cel-shaded kind of comic book look, although it's not exactly as unique as it used to be coming from the first game, I'm still pretty happy to see that the environment and the design is still very much there. I'm glad that they haven't downplayed it and tried to make it look a little bit more generic and mass appealing. Given the spectrum of like games nowadays, hardly anything looks unique, unfortunately, or has a distinct style, so it's kind of nice that they are still kind of repping that badge, very highly for the most part. It's, and some of the environments, like I kind of mentioned, are very striking, very interesting. Some of them are a bit, samey same. They could easily blend into the first or second game, but the kind of Jurassic jungle one and that very colourful neon big city looks pretty damn striking. I'm really interested to see what the hell those places are, and hopefully they're very expansive and really creative. It definitely seems that they might be really trying to add more variety to the game series, and I thought that was definitely what this game needs, is a little bit more. With a game like Borderlands, it is more, but it's also creativity and the witty writing, which is what a lot of people really love, and the solid kind of RPG mechanics, as well as the gunplay. Some people have used the term gun porn as to what this game kind of is, because as they mentioned in the trailer, there's about 1 billion guns, which is not a lie, given given the previous games. It's nice to see a lot of the cast is returning. I was glad to see characters like Mad Moxie, Marcus, Hammerlot, Tiny Tina, who Tiny Tina looks much older in this game, so obviously some serious time has passed. We don't really know what the story is, other than there seems to be a bit of a kind of like a cultish thing going on, which we'll see. A lot of the playable games from the previous games are there, which is nice to see. Didn't see all of them though. I kind of hope Gage, who was a DLC character, does appear, as well as like Scooter. Scooter is one of my favorite characters, so I really hope he returns. Surprised he wasn't seen in the trailer. I guess we can talk about some of the new stuff. I'm not in love with the new characters right now, possibly because I've seen so little of them. I mean, they weren't really in the trailer kind of, really doing, let's say, character-based things for the most part. But so far, my favorite character is Mose, who is simply my favorite because she reminds me a lot of Tank Girl, and I think that's a very intentional reference, given that her ability is that she can essentially summon a mech called Iron Bear. Just out of thin air, it just basically materializes over her, and she just, I guess, goes to town. That's pretty cool. I guess I'll talk about the other characters' abilities. We have Amara. I think that's Amara. Yeah, Amara. That's Amara. I'm guessing. Hopefully that's how I'm saying and how it's spelled. If not, sorry for the mistake. She has like this godlike 6-arm summon thing, which I guess is implying Millie is back, but it looks pretty cool in the trailer. I thought that was a very striking visual look. She's a siren character, a female character that has a lot of kind of like crazy power, I guess you could say. Next character is FL4K. I don't know if there's going to be a more abbreviated or easier way to say that. I don't know. He is essentially a Beastmaster, so he'll be controlling animals, which will be very interesting to see. Definitely quite different. Very different skill from anything we've seen in terms of a playable character. And Zane, the last character, he seems like he's going to be a bit more of a technological support trickster maybe kind of character, because he kind of has like a decoy device, which is kind of a hologram to confuse people. He has drones. He's kind of confirmed as more of a gadget illusion kind of person, so he should be interesting to see, and I'm definitely looking forward to what these characters bring, because I mean the characters don't even speak in this trailer, so I'm still looking forward to what's going to happen. I like their designs for the most part, and that's another thing. I really hope we get more creative and distinct skins, you know, rather than just like different hairstyle heads and different colors. Hopefully a lot more customization is what this series definitely needs with our playable characters. The only things I'm not really feeling are the main villains, though. The Calypso twins. They don't feel like or look like major villains or major threats, honestly. I think their character design is a bit lame, personally, and I don't find them threatening at all. They look more like mini bosses than, I'm guessing, the final boss, and I have a feeling they might not be the major villain. I have a feeling this is just the third quarter antagonist. But yeah, I mean, it's not something that's destroying the game for me personally. I'm not one of those people who are screaming and getting upset for some reason. But it's Borderlands 3. I expected more of Borderlands, and that's what I got, so I'm pretty happy. I wasn't expecting for them to redefine the series or anything. I was expecting more of the same. And that's another thing I want to quickly mention. Given that this game was one of the earlier games to actually have loot boxes, especially loot boxes within the game that's, not DLC, not paid, hopefully they keep it that way. I don't mind that in the second game they had a pre-order bonus where you had 10 keys which opened a very special box which was randomized, which you can get anything. That's fine. Do that again. What I don't want is, I don't want them to go, you are now paying real money for guns. Given how true they have been so far in terms of the trailer and the style, I don't think that's going to be the case, but I really hope they don't, backtrack on that. I mean, you only got to look at the box art for the game to know that they are not taking themselves seriously, and they are really going to stand out against all their other competitors, to which, I don't even think, it's worth mentioning their rivals, because their rivals are just plain compared to them. But I'm really interested for this game. It comes out September, and I won't be able to play it because I don't have a PS4. So that's going to be fun times. Maybe I'll replay Borderlands 2. Anyone who wants to play Borderlands 2 with me, hook me up. Or hit me up. Hook me up. God, what am I saying? Anyway, let's move on to trailers. We've got quite a few. And the first trailer we're going to talk about is Joker. This is, I guess, this is weird because it's like, it's a standalone prequel film within the DC cinematic superhero movie, but it doesn't seem to be tying into anything we've seen so far, which is very confusing, and the trailer just dropped out of nowhere. It might still be one of maybe 2 films based on the Joker. So yeah, and I will be honest with you guys, I honestly got nothing out of this trailer. It really felt lackluster to me, and it was very pretentious in a very weird way, where it was pretentious but not actually getting across the point of being pretentious. It kind of just felt flat on his face. The point it's trying to make and what it's trying to do just kind of felt very, well, dumb, to be honest. I mean, I'm not really understanding the interest in this film. I mean, is it people just blindsided again because it's the Joker? I mean, a lot of people gave Suicide Squad a free pass because the Joker was in it. The Joker has become a very boring character now, especially his more recent incarnations, and this is not doing anything special. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, I'm sure, is going to deliver a fantastic performance, but Todd Phillips, who is the director of this film, he isn't a good director given his previous films. His lack of direction his lack of direction is very noticeable. I mean, everything is very flat, it's very boring. When I see this film, I imagine he's basically sitting behind a camera going, yeah, that's good. I don't really feel any kind of presence. And, I'm sure some people are going to argue, oh, that's the point. But here's the thing, when you have something that kind of needs a sense of style, needs a sense of character, a kind of real sense of framing, you are following this character's, journey into madness, and you want to frame it as boringly as possible, that doesn't help anything. Yeah, you can argue, oh, this normal, straightforward, cut dry cinematography is really gonna help, make the character stand out. Maybe so, but it honestly feels like Joaquin Phoenix is the one in charge of this film, not the director. I honestly feel that it's Joaquin Phoenix who is, putting 100% in, as opposed to Todd Phillips, who is just rolling the camera and waiting for his paycheck. There wasn't a lot I liked in this film. I do kind of like the way the Joker looks for the most part. I think his look is very natural. Compared to Suicide Squad, where Jared Leto just looks like the worst thing ever. DC is never going to live that down. And I just really don't care about this film. I honestly don't get it. Like, it's nothing special, it's nothing interesting, it's nothing to really get excited about. I mean, it borderlines on kind of almost ripping off The King of Comedy and V for Vendetta to some extent. It just feels like a lamer version of that. It's very, very cut and dry. And I'm just honestly very confused by this film's existence or inclusion in anything. I get it, the Joker makes money. People love the Joker. People will defend the Joker when he does questionable things. We love the Joker. DC understands that. But I mean, I don't think anyone really asked for this film. Do we really need another prequel setup backstory film, especially on the Joker? No, that's not really the point. I mean, this existence of this film just proves how little DC knows about its characters. I mean, part of the Joker's core character is that he is mysterious, and he acts like, he acts like mental illness. He has no rhyme nor reason. He's the way I see it, he's a question we don't understand, not an open book with explanation. Which DC wants to kind of go, oh, this is why he does this is why he's crazy. This is why he puts. No, that was not the point of the Joker. It never is. To go back to a much better film, in The Dark Knight, we never know anything about the Joker. The Joker is literally an enigma in this world. We do not understand him, but we know that we must stop him. In this film, they're trying to portray him as some kind of, lost soul, kind of, you should feel bad for him. Maybe you should feel bad for the Joker in this film, but at the same time, it's implied he kills and robs people, so you kind of can't feel bad for someone like that. He's a terrorist at the end of the day. You can't really feel sorry for someone like that. I really don't get it. I'm really not on board with this film. I honestly hope it flops, because I'm sick of films like this. Hopefully Joaquin Phoenix gets all the money, because clearly he's the only person putting effort into this film. And much like Spider-Man, the Joker is so overrated, and nothing new is being done with this character. And don't try and say that this is a new take on the Joker, because it's not. You're literally just stringing random nonsense together. This is the most generic backstory prequel story I've ever seen. Like, really, tell me how many films do you know where it's the backstory of, I was a good guy but then I turned to a life of crime? That's been overdone big time. Almost, that's bare minimum. Simply put, you can watch films from the 80s and 90s that basically have this same plot, just excluding like a clown. It's ridiculous. I don't want to see anyone defending this film as original, because it's not. It's a straight up cash grab that no one asked for, and I'm not going to stand for it. It's annoying. I'm done with the Joker character. Do something different. Pick a new character, and DC try and actually make a good film for once, because you're ironically a joke, and everyone's laughing at you like a clown. Gosh, I mean, I don't know. I just had to. It's just annoying the way people, because people are gonna defend this film because it's the Joker and it's Joaquin Phoenix. But at the same time, I'm not even gonna get into it. Let's talk about our next trailer, which is much funnier for the most part. And that next trailer is going to be Annabelle Comes Home. This is the third Annabelle film, and I don't know what, I guess if you want to count it as a Conjuring film, I don't know what number exactly it falls under. But excuse me. I'm guessing they're kind of trying to end the Annabelle series, the spin-off from the original Conjuring series. The first Conjuring film is pretty great. The second one I haven't seen. For some reason, they really, really are pushing Annabelle over the last few years. This is her third film, Annabelle being the doll, in case for whatever reason you haven't seen the trailer. But my god, this trailer was more frustrating than funny. It was funny, but it was frustrating. I mean, what kind of nosy, disrespectful, idiotic girl goes to her friend's, and I'm going to use the rabbit ears there, her friend's house, and starts unlocking private rooms and just walking in and just touching everything? Who does that? Like, does your parents have creepy stuff? Let me touch it all. I can understand maybe she's a skeptic and she doesn't believe in all of it, but have some respect for other people's things. Like, what the hell is wrong with this girl? Like, this is really lazy plot writing in order to get the scare started. Like, come on now. You couldn't think of a better way for Annabelle to be released. Like, maybe she became possessed. Maybe Annabelle's growing in power. No, she just unlocks the door, goes in, and just starts touching things. And she says she touched everything. Like, what is wrong with this girl? Who does that? Like, I honestly hope this character dies just for how idiotic she is. Like, I don't understand that. Is that a thing? Like, let me know. Email me, raccoonplusfriends@gmail.com. Is that a thing? Do people in America or other places in the world, is it just okay to start roaming around your friend's house and just unlocking things and touching everything? Is that a mental issue or something? Is that a thing? Like, what is that about? Because, trust me, if that was me, I'd be pretty pissed. And I have had that happen to me, where people have gone through my stuff and taken my things and moved my things. And that person who did that got into trouble. Like, my gosh. It's ridiculous. I mean, and even the whole scene, although you could create some great scenes and great tension within the whole going into the room where all the, creepy, possessed things are, which I think is still a great concept, just having a room filled with all these cursed things. I think that's one of the better aspects of the Conjuring series, and it's kind of a shame that they didn't do too much with it. They kind of just let Annabelle be the star, which doesn't work. The paranormal investigators are far more interesting than Annabelle as a demon doll, but I was at least glad to see that they're bringing that aspect back, I guess. But it was kind of dumb when you saw the samurai armor, the inanimate head, kind of turning. I was like, that is such a cliched. It's such a spent cliche. It was comical, because that's been around since Scooby-Doo, and Scooby-Doo's been around since the 1960s or 70s. Because then it begs the question, why would a spirit, demon, haunted thing do that? I mean, she doesn't see that, it's bizarre. Oh gosh. And then she's like looking at the doll and she's like, what did you do to get in there? It's like, dum, just look at the thing. Like, even if it wasn't haunted, it's creepy as hell. And even for the time period, this film takes place, they would take that thing off the market because it's creepy. It's disturbing. No girl would want to play with that thing. It's too big as a practical toy, and it seems like it's partly made of porcelain, so it would break very easily, making it a bit of a hazard. So I don't know what this girl was just completely dumb. I really don't understand. Like, my main issue for talking about this trailer is just how dumb this character is, because once again, who does this? This might be one of the dumber, I don't even know if she's a protagonist, one of the dumber characters in the, in a horror film I've ever heard of for the most part. It is absolutely ridiculous. But I guess I always kind of have like one kind of thing I take away from each one of these films, and I guess the main thing I did like with this film was I did kind of like the scene where the girl, who I think is the daughter of like the paranormal investigators, she looks under the bed and she sees the doll just there motionless. I did kind of like, that. I thought that was pretty cool, and I did like the very natural kind of POV look as she kind of, as we kind of went to her perspective, looked on the cover, she kind of looked around, looked back under, there was just the right amount of shake for that. They were very, somewhat restrained to not have the jump scare happen immediately. It was just the, it's there, and kind of have a very natural kind of reaction, as well as a callback to the first Conjuring film where, like, something pulls her, leg while she's sleeping. I thought that scene, from what little we saw of it, was good. Obviously, the demon or whatever jumps out, which, obviously got to wait for the jump scare. But I think that scene was done well. I particularly like the lighting in the room, the very faint changing. I thought was, pretty good for the most part. I really did like that. That was the only thing I liked. That was done well done. I would imagine maybe if James Wan is working on this film, I doubt it. I know he kind of always does like one good scene in each one of the films. He did start it, so it makes sense. And yeah, my gosh, I kind of honestly do want to watch this film just to see if it is as frustrating, as dumb, or as funny as the trailer is, because, oh boy, it is crazy. Oh, excuse me, I talked a lot. My throat. I should mention it's pretty early in the morning, and I need some water, and I have a bit of a cold. I always have a cold first thing in the morning, but this is the only time I have free time. Last trailer we have to talk about, and this is the film that I honestly think is going to give Avengers Endgame a run for its money. This is probably one of the most hyped films of 2019, and I think it's going to be a box office smash. I am, of course, talking about a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon. I should probably clarify, the words raccoon, stop motion animation, and hasn't watched don't exist in a sentence. Of course, I know about every single stop motion animated film. I know about Luckia's The Missing Link, out in cinemas right now. I will be seeing it. I will be seeing a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, and I know that right now I sound very threatening and intimidating, but that's not my intention. Yes. I haven't seen the first Shaun the Sheep movie, but I watched the TV series. This is Aardman Animations, once again, already back with another film. It was only just last year we'd had Early Man, which was a pretty fun film. Obviously, the animation looks pretty outstanding, but I think this film does look very lovely, especially Shaun the Sheep, which is essentially a show which I guess you could boil down to being a little bit more geared at children. They're managing to mostly do another silent film, because obviously the animals don't talk, the humans don't really talk. If you've never seen Shaun the Sheep as a show, as a film, as a series, and it should be very interesting to see them kind of, do another silent film again, but on, I guess, a bigger scale for the most part, because I guess the main theme or thing in this film is that there's an alien, which is a bit random. And the design of the alien, I think, is really charming and really silly. I think it's really cute. It definitely is very comical, and I really like the alien. It's, it's got, tentacles, and, it just, it looks weird. It looks like what a child would imagine an alien looks like, which is a nice monster, basically. Obviously, I don't really need to talk about the animation. The animation is top-notch for the most part. It looks smooth. I mean, obviously Aardman, they're masters of claymation, honestly, so I can't really complain. Their work is never sloppy. It always looks amazing. They always put 100% into all their work, and it's nice to see that they're experimenting a lot more with more vibrant colors, whether that be in post-production special effects or just in, created backgrounds. Some nice purples, some nice oranges, some nice variations, definitely to kind of add a little bit more of a sci-fi vibe, kind of going Farmageddon, that kind of maybe B-movie horror kind of look, because the alien does look a bit like, 60s, 70s monster of the week kind of thing. So I really do like that. It is going to be a film I'm going to try and see. I have a feeling it's not going to be a big release, but I honestly do like the look of this film, and I'm very, I'm honestly actually hyped for this film. I really want to see what they're going to do with it. It does look cool, and I definitely wanted to kind of talk about this trailer because I always have like almost one trailer where it's like something I don't think everyone has heard of, and this is probably going to be this film, and especially coming off like Joker, which I do not give a damn about, and Annabelle, which is just a joke, ironically. Farmageddon. That's going to be the one to be. I'll probably see it. I haven't seen the first one, I should mention. I've seen some of it, but I have it on DVD, and I still have not seen it. The reason why is because I just haven't. I might see it before I see the next film. But that is pretty much going to wrap up the podcast. Before we end it, I want to leave you guys with the video of the episode, and that is going to be Hot Chip, Hungry Child. Now, this is quite a long video. It's just over 8 minutes long. It is a music video for Hot Chip, coming back with their next album. These guys have been away for almost 4 years. The last album dropped in 2015. So they're finally back, which I'm happy to see. Almost missed this music video, but this is an interesting one. It's borderlining on a very short film to some extent. And the reason I picked it is because, well, first of all, the tune, if you do listen to the full version, it's quite the banger. And secondly, the way they've kind of intertwined a music video, the song, and I guess the story of the music video is really quite interesting. And I kind of wanted to share it because I thought it was very well done in terms of what it's about, what it's trying to, not necessarily, I guess what it's trying to say. In terms of what's happening within the context of the music video. And I guess I'll leave it there. If you want to ask me any questions, hit me up on anything, regarding this podcast or anything. Are you upset that I thought the Joker film looked like trash? Well, if you are, you can email me at raccoonplusfriends@gmail.com. You can also, as soon as there is going to be a YouTube upload, you can leave a comment in the description as well. Also, while you're there, if you are watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Might as well. I got big things coming for this channel, not just the podcast. So look forward to that. You can also follow me on Twitter at The Angry Raccoon, only one C in the raccoon. And there isn't anything much else to say. I've been working on some new projects that will hopefully be coming out very soon. Hopefully this month. Hopefully that's going to happen. I won't really say too much, but I definitely have someone who is working alongside me with this to make this a thing. And hopefully if it does become a thing, hopefully it really takes off, because I think, although it may not be the most original thing, I think we got something, personally, and it's something not to spoil anything, it's something I've wanted to go back to doing. So I am going to leave it at that for the moment. Sorry it's a bit of a short one, but it's only just me. You're only getting one person's opinions, and we'll see what happens with the next podcast. For the most part, nothing else I really need to add for the most part, other than go and watch Fleabag. Fleabag season 2 ends pretty soon. Go watch Shaun the Sheep, the first film, I guess, and go and listen to the full version of Hot Chip's Hungry Child, because although this is, if you've seen the video, you understand what I mean, and once you watch the video, you'll get what I mean, but listen to the full song, because I think it's quite the tune, and it's kind of, I don't want to spoil anything, just watch the video of the episode, and I guess I'll leave it at that, and I'll end it like I always do by saying I am and was The Angry Raccoon, and I will see you on the next podcast.